Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video. Booktok. Nah. I keep saying I'm being lied to on Booktok and I feel like it's just getting worse and worse with every single book that I read. Arguably, I've read Credence by Penelope Douglas, but today we're talking about Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. Yeah. It's another one of those books that got really hyped up on Booktok that people were talking about. Like, it's the greatest piece of literature ever written. So I wasn't surprised when I read it and it wasn't good, but it just keeps infuriating me how you're not literate. I mean this with peace and love. Peace and love. Yes, a peace sign! I just need a heart. I can do it. Peace and love. Some books are bad but excusable if people like them, but with dark romance, I've never read a dark romance book where I was like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, I get why people like this. Just because you write dark romance doesn't mean you have to write like low level period. The genre you write in doesn't excuse the quality of writing you are producing. You know what I mean? As a reader, I can expect you to put effort into what you are creating and you're not. At least Penelope Douglas isn't. Penny. Happy spooky season, everybody. I dressed up spooky and this book was spooky to read. As I said, I've read Credence, which was arguably like plot-wise worse because she does fuck her uncle and her cousin and marries her cousin, which doesn't happen in this book, so that's better, I guess. I reviewed it if you want to watch it. If you don't, then don't. Then don't. Before we get further into it, I do want to give a shout out to my members and especially to the 2 new book haters that have joined me on this channel, on this journey. They are not responsible for me reading this because my members usually vote for my next reads, but they weren't responsible for this one, so I do still love you a little bit more because you didn't put me through this. No, I'm kidding. I love everyone equally. Peace and love! Peace and love! My members get my videos a day early, and as I said, they get to vote on my next reads. They also get exclusive content such as my Ruby Red movie commentary, and in my last podcast I said I want to do movie reviews maybe on Patreon, and nobody responded to me saying that. So I'm not gonna do it. Prank! Maybe I'm gonna do it. Maybe I'm gonna do it if people want it. But nobody said anything and then I felt kind of embarrassed. I was like, ugh, I said it like 3 times and nobody said anything about it and I was like, okay. It's low-key a little bit embarrassing. They also get my eternal peace and love, of course. Peace and love, yes. And it's a way to support me and the channel so I can buy things like this peace sign. Yes! So, as I said, 2 new members have joined, and I want to give you guys a shout out. Thank you so much for joining this quest. First, Space Orc, hypnotizing me with your profile picture, and Stephanie Smith. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoy your stay, and make sure to vote on the next poll. Please. When I did this poll, I had multiple people comment, I'm so sorry for what I'm voting for. I don't know if you voted for Punk 57 or something else and you were still sorry because the choices weren't that great. Like they were all bad, obviously. If you want to get some behind the scenes, you can consider following me on Instagram at HonestlySophieYT. So, now I got everything out of the way. Let's get to the book. Again, usually I do a disclaimer where I say that if you like this book, that's fine. Everybody can like what they like. But with Credence and also this book, I feel like okay, with this book, maybe it's a little bit more excusable. It's just badly written, and there was, like, no romance, and there's a fly. Girl! Get out! With Credence, of course, that's a whole nother level of depravity, or whatever the word is. I don't know words. And I especially want to say it because I will talk about some people who like this book, what their argument is, and then I don't want to come across as insensitive, but it's still a little, like, borderline, like, unbelievable for me. Okay? Before I read this, I also thought, and I think I've said this in my Credence review, that Punk 57 is a classic. I did not know that Penelope Douglas wrote this, and I thought that this was like Animal Farm. I thought this was like a George Orwell book. You know what? No, never mind. I don't know why I thought that. I just think the cover isn't giving, and it didn't really look like, it looked low quality in the sense that I would have believed that it was a classic, like the kind of book that you read in school. Alas, it's written by Penelope Douglas. It's not a classic, but I thought that. I thought it. I was proven wrong. Before I also get into the book, I want to talk about Penelope Douglas, who is, no, who are they? They go by they, them. I actually don't know if she goes, oh, if they go by they, them and she, her. I'm gonna look it up on her Instagram. I looked it up earlier, but I actually forgot. I only know they, them. Penelope, how many Instagram followers do they have? 250,000. Oh, she, they, okay. I'm good. They have a profile picture on Instagram that says death before decaf. So does that mean they're against decaf coffee? But it's like with people who want to drink coffee but don't, no, how do you say, vertragen? Ah! Girl! What if you like the taste of coffee but you don't want to drink caffeine? Should those people die? Anyway, I read this out again in the Credence review, and I'm gonna read it out again because it's still funny to me because it's still the exact same thing on her website, the About page, right? They write, I'm gonna read the highlights. My name is Penelope Douglas and I write romance, new adult, erotica, a little contemporary, ... really whatever is calling me at the moment. I believe, oh, and I made fun of this, I remember, I don't know what I said, but I'm probably gonna say the same thing again. I believe a good writer can spin any story in a way with which you'll connect, and I endeavor to do just that with every book I write. Well, so far you've actually failed because I don't want to fuck my uncle or my cousin, and I also am not really into bullying people for asthma. We'll get to it. Not many topics are too taboo for me. I love breaking rules and I love taking myself out of my comfort zone. Why is that, you ask? Well, there's a reason for everything. And of course we have, well, you know what? I'm not gonna tell you. We have it separated in paragraphs, of course, because that makes it more dramatic. Well, there's a reason for everything. I could tell you where I was born, Iowa, how many siblings I have, 5, or which hobbies I enjoy, hiking. But none of that really tells you about someone's life. Experiences do. As an adolescent, I was quiet, shy, and afraid. No mistakes could be made because people would hate me or I'd be alone. What the fuck is going on in Iowa? So rather than run, I walked. Rather than climb, I kept my feet on the ground. And rather than say yes, I always said no. And as a result, I didn't live. Okay. And I still felt disposable, fearful, and alone. So I decided I wouldn't be invisible or waste another second. I left home, went to college, crazy, and traveled. I took trains from Atsuki to Tokyo all by myself. It's just like, out of all the things they did, they decided to pick these ones. Taking a train. Girl, I take a train like every week. Not in a different country, okay? Not in Tokyo, that's not a country. Japan. But I would! I jumped Hiji Falls when others joked I wouldn't do it. In brackets, I did it twice. So they're all about being yourself, living your truth, and that's also what this book is about. She does have a daughter, and their name is also masculine coded. You know, you can say whatever you want. I'm not gonna say it, even though she does post her daughter online and her name, but that's, you know, none of my business. Main character is called Ryan. The girly pop's called Ryan. I've never heard a gay called a gay? Oh, I've never heard a gay called Ryan. No, a girl. Sorry. She has a bachelor's in public administration, and she also then did a master's in education and was a teacher for like 8 or 9 years. Imagine Penelope Douglas being your teacher and then writing about fucking cousins. Put the pen down. That's Penelope for you, Penny Boo Boo. And of course, now we're all wondering, what the fuck is this book about? What is it, Punk 57 about? Well, it is about a girl and a boy, and the girl is Ryan and the boy is Misha. Or Misha? How do you say it? I don't know. I'm German. They became pen pals in 5th grade, and this book takes place 7 years after they became pen pals. They keep mentioning their letters, but we don't really get to see them except in the very beginning, and we don't get to read them. They're supposed to be really deep. Really, like, heartfelt. I don't know, I didn't read them. They've been pen pals for 7 years. They live one town apart. They've never met, but now everything changes, and we'll talk about it. This book was published in 2016. So I decided I should give it some grace. Then I read it and I said, I'm not gonna give it some grace. It's so fucking cringe. It is so cringe. I know that we were all a little cringe in 2016, which is why I said I wanted to give it some grace. But at the end of the day, like, no. Like, there's no more grace to give for Penelope Douglas writing about fucking cousins. It has 450,000 ratings on Goodreads with a 3.7 average, which is bad. So not that many people liked it, even though people on Booktok hype it up as an amazing bullies, friends to lovers story. Is any of that true? No. So, you know, I'll talk about it. I haven't rated it yet. I think I want to do something about me thinking that it was like fucking 1984. This book has more ratings than Credence, even though I think Credence is more popular. Just a vibe that I get. Like 50,000 more ratings. And also Birthday Girl, I think, is another one of her, yeah, almost 400,000 ratings. It's another one of the popular ones. I don't know what that is about. I don't actually care that much. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. The premise of the story is that Ryan and Misha have been writing letters, but they've never met. Misha's sister dies. We'll talk about it. We go from the beginning, but I just want to sum it up because I want to talk about a review that I read. And after this, for some reason, he goes he goes crazy, but for some reason, he goes to her school, Ryan's school, because he has a mission that we don't know about until the end. He goes to the school with a fake name, Mason, and starts bullying Ryan. Because he finds out that in her letters, she was kind of portraying herself a little bit differently, because in reality she like talks about how she hates bullies and blah blah blah, but in reality she is a bully. She's like one of the popular kids who bullies other people, and he's really disappointed in her and starts bullying her, and then they fuck in the back of his truck. So the story mainly revolves around this whole topic of bullying. It takes place in high school. I think they're 17 and 18. Okay, calm down. They're seniors, and the story is that Orion used to be awkward, and then she decided to not be awkward anymore and become one of the popular kids by bullying other people. She was bullied, and then she decided to join the bullies. If you were ever bullied, I don't think that would ever cross your mind to do that to someone else. But alas, who am I to speak, you know? And so when I went on Goodreads and I looked at what other people thought about it, I also saw that people who criticized the book, they said that they thought the whole bullying aspect was so unrealistic with like throwing food and blah blah blah. And then people were like, no, it happened to me. There's a lot of sexism in this book also that I thought was so uncalled for, that doesn't get revolved. There is not a single genuine female friendship in this book, and there was honestly no redeeming qualities. You could argue that it's like going into the extreme with its discussion of these topics, but maybe you can't. Honestly, like, fuck Penelope Douglas. So as I said, one of the reviews that I saw was calling exactly this out, that I also thought while reading the book. And I agreed with it. I was like, okay, the whole bullying, to me, doesn't make sense. It's also very extreme. I went to German high school, okay? We don't have a cafeteria, but the whole food throwing thing, I thought that was only in movies. Did that happen at your high school, that people like bullied the emo kids and threw food at them? Like, I feel bad for them. I'm sure that it does happen, but so many people were like, oh, this happened at my school. I was like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Why is no one intervening at your school? I remember when I was in high school, and it's not funny, there were like 2 incidents of bullying that were majorly discussed, and in both cases the teachers intervened immediately as they found out. The first one was there was a girl with a really big forehead, and then she got bullied for her big forehead, and then we did like an online bullying class for a week to teach us about online bullying and the consequences of that. I never bullied. And I was never bullied. Okay, just to get that out the way. Because it really wasn't that big of an issue. I don't know if times have changed or if times were different when Penelope Douglas went to high school, because I'm sure when they went, it was also a lot different. And maybe they have asthma and they wanted to write about their experience having asthma, but we're gonna get to the asthma part because I low-key think it's funny, and it's maybe they don't have asthma because I don't think it's realistic anyway. And then the second incident was there were 2 girls who in 5th grade thought it was funny to bully a dude for no reason. They just thought bullying was fun. And then they were like calling him a Jew. He was not a Jew. They were just using it as an insult. And then they had, and we're in Germany. Don't do that. And then they had to go in front of the entire class and hold a presentation about the Holocaust and why it's wrong to call someone a Jew as an insult. And that's how that was fixed. So, as I said, I'm not an expert on high school bullying in American high schools, because that's just not me. And I'm sorry for everyone who has experienced bullying, because that's generally horrendous, and it's never something that ever crossed my mind to do to someone, just because, well, I would feel so bad. Why the fuck would I bully someone? I don't fuck with bullies. And never in my life, if I were bullied, would I want to become someone who does that to other people. But why is it in this book then? So, under this review, people just started saying, I rated this book positively because it is a fiction book but also portrays the reality of many high schools in the US, mainly in big cities like LA. If you do not connect to it, it's probably because you were not ever exposed to an environment like that or similar situations during high school. It doesn't make it a bad book. It's just the reality of many teenagers nowadays. We like it or not. And this was 5 months ago. And this book came out in 2016. I can definitely relate to this book. My ex-boyfriend called me horrible things. Oh yeah, that's also another thing. A bunch of these things happened to me in private school. Well, private school is elitist, girl. I like the book because I feel like I'm not alone in dealing with the trauma of that. I'm happy that I could finally feel like I can relate to something. So you're saying your ex-boyfriend called you horrible things and you were bullied, and so you can relate to this book and deal with your trauma because you read about someone getting with their abuser. That doesn't make sense, girly. I was annoyed by Sonia's naive comments of what high school was like. I find it impossible even now that this isn't still some people's experiences. Girl, do you want everyone to get bullied? This was 100% my experience, including having a drink thrown at me. Mine was chocolate milk. I'm sorry that happened to you. By another jealous queen bee wannabe, not to mention many similar things as blah 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 described. It makes me realize how everyone has different experiences and leads vastly different lives. I warned my daughter about awful high school, how awful, girl, can you ride? I'm sorry, can be, and basically how to stay safe. She would hate this book, finding it completely unrealistic and would never think it could be remotely true. But praising this book up because it portrays bullying, like you getting a drink thrown at you and a person in this book also getting a drink thrown at them and then finding it realistic and like connecting with it is just not valid, because at the end of the day the main dude does call her a c-word and then fucks her at the back of his trunk and she keeps saying no and he does do it. So I feel like, why are we focusing on the whole bullying aspect when there's like genuinely much worse things to discuss? Period. I don't know if I expressed myself correctly. Like, I feel truly with everyone who has experienced this, because this is horrendous, especially if you feel completely alone and like you can't do anything and no one's helping you, because there are terrible people out there. But this book was bad, and that's not something to focus on. This is not a story about empowerment and how to stand up to your bullies, because it's just not realistic. If you want to read a story like that, read something else. And don't comment, don't discuss that in the reviews of a fucking Penelope Douglas book. That is not the place to be. The place to be is a therapist. Love you. So let's get into the book. I don't want this to be too long, I always say that, but I think I've done enough preempting it now. Again, I don't know if that's the right way to put it. There is no plot in this book. The plot, I don't even know what she was going for, if I'm being honest. It's a romance story first and last, and there was nothing going on besides that. She tried to establish some things and they didn't work out. There's a major reveal at the end. Oh my god, are you excited? So for the most part, I think this will just be me reading out the most terrible quotes you will ever hear. So let's get to it, because, can you see this? Yeah, okay. We start off with Misha reading old letters that he received from Ryan a few years ago. So I wanted to give her some grace, but then when the fuck did the new Star Wars come out, the new Star Wars movies? I don't know when this is supposed to take place, the story. The book came out in 2016. They talk about, in one of the letters, about Star Wars. I actually don't know the English title. The first one of the new trilogy. And it's prefaced by saying he's reading a letter from a few years back, but that movie came out in 2015 and this book came out in 2016. So I would imagine this book takes place in 2016, so it's 15-16. Or is it in the future? Because that makes it worse. My favorite quotes from this letter, which is like only, I think it's the only like proper letter we get to see. You would absolutely hate her. She's everything we can't stand. Mean, cavalier, superficial, ... The kind who doesn't have a thought to stay in her head too long or else she needs a nap, right? Already off to a great start. She hates women and everybody hates women in this book. The women hate women and the men hate women, so we're doing great. There's gonna be a bunch more sexism. Yeah, get it on! I stare at her words again, running over the sentence in my head. When she removes her makeup, taking off her brave face for the day, ... That line really hit me the first time I read this letter a couple of years ago, and 100 times since then. How can she say so little and yet so much? Bitch. And being confronted with thoughts you had at 13 when they were 18 years old. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy concept, you know? Crazy concept. But again, it says here, this line really hit me the first time I read this letter a couple years ago, and then it goes, I go back and finish the last part. And it says, okay, sorry, I just had a Facebook break. Facebook will be mentioned infinite times in this book, but never Instagram. Were we still using Facebook in 2016, but this letter is supposed to be from a couple of years ago. That would make sense, but then she goes, Kylo Ren is not a baby, you understand? He's young, impulsive, and he's related to Anakin and Luke Skywalker. Of course he whines. How is this a surprise? So then this would mean that this would have to take place in 2015. So were we still using Facebook in 2015? No. Some people were. Some people still do. I wasn't. I was using Instagram, actually. Just me? It's not like Facebook isn't mentioned time and time again in this book where it's like, they're gonna bully me on Facebook. Because she's trying to make a point of like online bullying. They're gonna Facebook about it, she keeps saying. She keeps talking about iPods. Also not something I would necessarily use in 2016. I think I had a phone. So the timeline doesn't make sense to me. Do you think this place takes place in the future? This book takes place in the future? Do you think... but then that would make it even worse because nobody's using iPods or whatever. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it, guys. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it. So, as I mentioned earlier, Misha has a sister. We get to meet her in the beginning, and she dies in the beginning. She is a year younger than him, and she I hate... we're gonna talk about it more, but I hate male perspectives. They're never good. How can I be mad at her? She's going places, and she's a happy kid. Girl! She's 1 year younger. She's not a kid. She's not a kid. No, I see my sibling as... No. 1 year... No. Ooh. No. I snored. Yeah, that's me. The bad older brother who doesn't pick up after himself and eats mozzarella sticks for breakfast. I see her shake her head in the mirror like I'm so overbearing because I won't leave until she's in the car. Sorry, but yeah. I'm not leaving my pretty 16-year-old sister on a dark road at 10 o'clock at night. You wanna fuck her? Sure, Penelope would write that. Basically, after this incident, his sister dies. She was jogging. He was going to a event, saw her jogging at the side of the road. He's like, girl, it's the middle of the night. Go home. She's like, okay, I'll go home. She goes to drive home. Her car breaks down. She runs to get gas and then calls him. He doesn't pick up because he's making out with Ryan. And then she dies on the side of the road in the cold because she was taking amphetamines. And had a heart attack. Or cardiac arrest? Is that the same thing? I don't know English words. This event is a fundraiser or something, a scavenger hunt for his band, because he's in a band, and he's the lead singer. Because they want to go on a summer tour, and they need to raise money. So they thought, let's do a scavenger hunt and collect money, which is a great idea. The scavenger hunt consists of random tasks that people have to do. That's the reason he makes out with Ryan, because she has to kiss someone or something. And he figures out at this moment that this is the Ryan he's been sending letters to. He tells her... no, he doesn't tell her name. He wants to keep it to himself. But this is the first time they see each other and they kiss. They do a little peck. This is great and all. At this moment, his sister calls. She's dying. He doesn't pick up because he's making out with Ryan, who he's been wanting to make out with. But I just want to tell you one of the great challenges that they have to do in the scavenger hunt, because it's little challenges. One of them is get a picture of a man with lipstick on. That's so funny. Men wearing lipstick. I'm so tired. He checks in with Dane, one of his band members, to ask him how this event is going. He goes, 458 people have checked in already. Videos and photos are being posted. Hundreds of tags, and people are even going live on their own profiles. This worked better than I could have imagined. The exposure is already paying off. Our YouTube videos have quadrupled in hits tonight. Girl, I know that YouTube in 2016 was different, but I don't think that, like, you can't sell me this. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Dane. What the fuck kind of saying is that? Tell me you don't know how YouTube works without telling me. He's also very surprised that Ryan is there, which confused me because she lives a town over. So it's more surprising they've never run into each other. And by the way, they made each other promise they wouldn't look each other up. Sorry, the fly is still in here. I'm busy, I can't. Get the fuck out. Get out, girl. They made a promise to never look each other up online, and for some reason they both stuck to it, which is confusing to me because I would have googled his name in an instant. But they've never run into each other. This is the first time. I pictured a geek in glasses with purple streaks in her hair, dressed in a Star Wars t-shirt, which is also confusing to me because I would imagine that they would at some point like ask each other, what do you look like? Even if they don't look each other up, like, just can you describe yourself? And he can't believe that she is fucking hot. Slender shoulders under long light brown hair, heart-shaped face with full pink lips and a daring look in her bright blue eyes, glowing skin and a beautiful body. The check-in at Gallo's, her favorite pizza place, the songs she's listening to, the movies she's watching, and everything posted from her latest version, iPhone, her most favorite possession in the world. Your iPhone? Okay. Which is funny because later she's like, I have Louboutins. I was like, okay. What the fuck is going on? There's also really odd statements. It's, she says, the hair she told me she ties back every night because she says there's no hell worse than waking up with hair in your mouth. I only have hair in my ass crack. But this is so 2016 quirky, and I have such a bad long-term memory. I don't know what I was doing in 2016. I tried to think back on it, but maybe something bad happened to me because I don't remember what I did that year. What was happening that year? What did I do? I think being quirky maybe was still a thing in 2016, but to me that's always before 2016. Like the whole like quirky, I love pizza, I'm different, I love eating. Why is this all about food? That's more like 2012 core to me, 2013 core, not 2016. Was that King Kylie? I didn't give a fuck about her, sorry. Still don't, girl, sorry if you're watching. My sister only wants me in bed and out of the way so she can get it on with whatever guy is on his way over here right now. Like, I'm going to tell her mom, like I care. Which, we don't get a relationship between her mom and her sister. She mentions offhandedly that her sister and her don't really get along because her sister was always forced to drag her along because she didn't really have any friends growing up. And that's why their relationship is a little strained because she's annoyed by her. And the sister goes, I'm just saying, she says, planting her hand on her hip, those books are a lot to wrap your head around. And they're talking about her getting extra allowance if she reads books like The Jungle, Brave New World, Fahrenheit. Do you say 451 or 451? How do you say in German? I've never actually said that out loud in German. God, you have boring taste in books. Mom said to choose modern classics, I argue back. Sinclair, Huxley, Orwell. I think she meant like The Great Gatsby or something. You're such a brat. Brat Summer! She talks about this in the beginning and then also later on, which is so weird to me because, again, we don't see her mom as far as I'm concerned. Maybe like once or twice. And they don't talk about the allowance and she never reads a book and does a book. Anyway, so like, this was just in there to show that she's different. But why? Maybe that's why I thought this was like a modern classic. I'm sorry, that's so embarrassing. We have some, you know, body shaming comments. There's a lot of body shaming in this towards a dude. Trey is like the jock who fucks everybody, and there's like a scene later in the book where they find pictures of him taking nudes of every girl possible because he fucked them, and then there's like no repercussion for this. Because his mom's the principal. And he really wants to get it on with Ryan, and instead of just like saying no, I don't fuck with you, she doesn't say that because he's part of her friend group, which are just the mean people. So it's this Trey dude, then a girly pop that fucks Trey but has a different boyfriend, but that boyfriend turns out to be chill, and then there's like a gay dude. It's a perfect group. If you want to know what Trey is like, he's an arrogant mouth breather with a marshmallow for a brain and an ego as big as his man boobs. Oh, excuse me, they're called pecs. Okay, I'm sure. That's fine. So then there's this plot going on that's resolved 30% into the book, so I'm not sure what she was going for, and it's the reason this book's called Punk is because there's a dude, a person. Dude is gender neutral for me. Yeah. Going around school, breaking in at night, and spray painting the walls with quotes. Who is this punk? Well, of course our main character, because who else would it be? But this is revealed 30% in, so there was really no point for this. I thought this was like a horror, like thriller low-key, because she also has the theme of like a carnival, an abandoned carnival where someone's living, which is Misha here lives there, because he left the house after his sister died, because he hates his dad. And he also stopped writing letters. Yeah, stopped writing letters, and so I don't really know. Nothing. She wanted to put her words out there still, but then she just decided to spray paint them on the walls. Don't knock masturbation, Mel Long says, reciting the message we all saw laying behind the butcher paper before morning practice a while ago. It's sex with someone I love. And everyone starts laughing. I bet they don't even know it's a Woody Allen quote. Woody Allen? I don't know if they're married. I'm sure they're married. Is to his adopted child that he raised. And then there was a person who I'm not sure the relation to, because if I'm being honest, I only noticed in passing, who published a letter in the New York Times in I think 2015, so a year before this book came out, talking about the abuse that she went through as a child, as like a 6 or 7-year-old, from Woody Allen. And so I think it's a bold move to decide to put specifically a Woody Allen book in your quote in your book about abuse. But I didn't expect anything better from you, Penny Boop. Misha turns up at the school now with a mission. As I mentioned earlier, we don't know this mission, and he goes by the name Mason. He has a fake ID and stuff, you know, he's a little crazy, and he doesn't really talk, he doesn't really speak to anybody. He's so mysterious in the back, but he's hot, guys. We want to fuck him so bad, right? And so Ryan goes, honestly, he doesn't look that bad. A little dirty, a little angry, but that doesn't imply he's a criminal. Okay. Also, 2016 again, she goes, his deep green pools. At least it's not orbs. She goes up to him, meaning Ryan goes up to him, kind of to like poke fun at him. Oh my god. To engage with him, I don't know, to be like, to impress her friends that she doesn't even like, because she's scared of being alone, because she doesn't have any friends other than them, but they're not even really true friends, right? It's the eternal dilemma. So she goes up to him, and then for some reason she ends up on his lap, and he licks her neck. This is the first time of their meeting. Like, I think she recognizes him from the scavenger hunt thing, but she doesn't know it's Misha, right? Until later in the book. She keeps thinking this is Mason, this is someone else. And he licks her neck and he goes, you kind of taste like shit. And then, like, pushes her onto the floor. And it's like, what, huh? Then she tells us she has Louboutins in her locker, which her mom doesn't know, because she hides them from her mom. I think her locker was broken into. She mentions her iPod again. I'm sorry, like, what the fuck is the obsession with the iPod? He breaks into her house, into her room. She comes into her room, he's in there with her journal, and is like, you have to give me back my necklace and my some kind of paper that she stole when she went into his room at the carnival, at the abandoned carnival, and she didn't know he was living there, but now she finds out because they took a necklace and a paper. I don't know, I don't care. He's like, give it back to me or else I will show everybody your journal. More specifically, he says, don't worry, I won't make sure this falls into your mom's hand. I'm going to rip out every fucking page and plaster them all over the school, so listen loud and clear, you stupid C word. See you next Thursday or Tuesday, whichever day you're available. I'm done talking to you, I'm done looking at you. I want the locket and I want the piece of paper you took at the Cove. this kind of conversation happens over and over again where they insult each other, and still this makes her want to fuck him really badly, and they eventually do without having any sort of deeper connection. And this is so incomprehensible to me, why you would want to fuck someone like this. No matter how hot the person is, if he was talking to me like this, he was calling me the C word, I would genuinely probably call the police. He visits her at swim practice because she manages to get this piece of paper and the necklace and gave it back to him, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna give you a journal tonight at swim practice or whatever. And so he goes to visit her there. This is the only time we see her do this, even though it seems to be, or she wants it to be like a vocal point of the story, but it's like, oh my god, no, she's a good person at heart. Like, she's just pretending to be a mean bitch. Like, she teaches children how to swim. The water looks cold, Dane comments, and a quiet laugh following, and I know what he's referring to. I let my eyes fall to her breasts, seeing the hard points of her nipples straining against her long-sleeved black rash guard. A pretty impressive feat, considering the wet material. Oh my god. The wet materials cling to her skin, and I can see that she's also wearing a bikini top under the shirt, adding some extra padding, which I'm grateful for. I look up at the bleachers, seeing a few dads gazing down, and while they're probably looking at their kids, I don't like that they might be looking at her. She doesn't need to give them a show. This is 20% in. Girl. So she has the most hard nipples, ultra super duper solid rock hard nipples, 3000 you can think of, because she's wearing something and then a bikini and padding, and you can still see her hard nipples. She has ultra big nipples. Ryan stuffs the diary in her bag and picks up the towel, continuing to dry off her legs. Her black bikini bottom, unlike her rash guard, is not as conservative as I would like. Well, thank god no one fucking asked you. What the fuck are we saying? Her toned legs look tight and smooth, and the droplets of water on her thighs have my heart skipping a beat. The epidemic of male POVs needs to be studied / I should make a podcast on it. Every single time I am encountered with a male's POV written by a woman, you would imagine that this would be a man written by a woman. But especially in dark romance or whatever, I don't know if this is considered dark romance, but this kind of romance, it is always so fucking ridiculous how sexist and how objectifying the men are written. All they think about every fucking single page is sex and fucking. How the fuck am I supposed to find that attractive? If I read a book, I would like it way more if he was thinking about puppies and not rock hard solid 3000 mega rock nipples. You called me a C word and I can't say it, I would say it, I got banned one time. And cut my hair. Oh yeah, he threatened her with scissors at one point to her throat and then cut some of her hair off. Yeah, that also happened. You think I'd actually trust you to protect me? Don't blink too hard, shit for brains. You might lose your last few brain cells. He can't believe what she just said to him. He picks her up and throws her into the pool. Unexpected. She just picks her up, throws her in there, leaves. Oh, and I'm leaving too. I cannot understand why you would write him like this. It's never explained that he's what he's trying to do. If he's trying to teach her a lesson, what lesson is being taught? She bullies people because she wants to fit in with the cool people who bully people. And so in response, you bully her, even though this is the girl you've been writing for 7 years. He's like, I'm so disappointed that she's not the girl I imagined, that she's not the girl that she said she was. In her letters, she always came across as caring and helping, and now she's this mean bitch. I'm angry at her for this, so I'm gonna bully her severely, threaten her, call her a C word, and then fuck her in the back of my truck. Yeah, so I don't understand how people like this book, because this is what your high school experience was like? I'm sorry. And Punk, which at this point we still don't know it's her, wrote a letter or a quote on the wall, and by the way, there's a huge focus on music in this book. She keeps saying, this is playing on the iPod, this is playing. Obviously, he's in a band, so there's actually full songs in this that I didn't read, but some of these things I did read, and I feel like she really thought she did something, she really thought she ate with these. You loved me, we were besties, I lent you my eyeshadow, but someday all you'll be is someone I used to know? That doesn't even fucking rhyme. Regardless of the fact that it doesn't rhyme, it's ass. What do you mean I lent you my eyeshadow? Eyeshadow is the most non-personal thing you can lend someone. If you were I lent you my lipstick, okay, eyeshadow, I'm not sure. That's not that deep. Eyeshadow, if you use a brush. I think you can get, you could get an eye infection, but I think it's more personal if I was no, you can't use my lipstick. The writing is also really, really bad. I know I read out their about thing on their website earlier, but I truly like stand by the fact that I think she is not succeeding in what she's trying to do with the writing. Building depth or whatever. Her writing is very surface level. She doesn't go deeper. She's like, I want to explore characters and write like their deepest parts. And I read an interview where they were like, yeah, it's like what I'm thinking. Like I write from the like first person, so you're in the character's head. And then the writing she does when you're in the character's head is, I straighten my hair, getting rid of my bedhead, and begin applying my makeup, getting rid of the dark circles I have from staying up too late doing homework last night. I also had some blush to make me look healthy and happy. Okay? Why is she going in? Was she trying to get a word count going in depth about her entire fucking makeup routine? Am I watching Zoella? What are we doing? And there's multiple passages in this book where this is. There are genuinely no thoughts being had by the main characters that go deeper than surface level. She sometimes tries to start like an internal, like, what is it called again? Like the thoughts that you have. There's a word for it, I forgot. They try to analyze deeper why they are acting this way and what's happening to them, but then it seems like it gets too complicated to write about or to put it into words, and she just stops. And I feel like if you deal with topics like this, it's the same with Credence. If you want to write about topics like this, you need to treat them with the respect that they deserve, and she's not doing that. He does something. I don't remember what. I think he writes on her. Oh, something happens, but anyway, she comes up to him. She's like, I'm gonna avenge myself. And then she uses a pen to write on his neck. And it says, needle dig douchebag asshole. Okay. She tells him to stay still. He goes, I do exactly what she asks, even though my heart is racing and my groin is throbbing with heat. She's threatening him, and he's like, I wanna fuck. Also, again, see a therapist. And one page it says, I feel a little excitement course through my veins. And the next page it says, heat floods my veins. Girl, and she's like, I want to thank my editor. Girl, she's not reading this, apparently. He thinks back about his sister because he ruined Ryan's scarf, rubbing off what she wrote in his neck. He was like, I'm gonna use your scarf to do it, your cashmere scarf. And rubs it, and then he feels kind of bad about it, actually, you know, for ruining her things, and wants to give her a new one, and he wants to give her one from his sister, and he thinks, Annie's fabric softener. She was good about doing the laundry, since my dad was busy, and I always did it wrong. So, weaponized incompetence? Because how the fuck can you do the laundry wrong? You are always so different, he says, starring off, I can barely breathe. T-shirts and jeans to family functions, guitar lessons instead of violin or piano. Shut the fuck up. Since when is learning guitar abnormal? Always so difficult to motivate for anything other than what you wanted to do, ... Obviously, bitch, why would I be motivated to do something I don't want to do? Always so difficult, period. That's what his dad says to him. Period! Anyway, as you can tell, I'm just reading out quotes because, again, there's nothing happening in between. They just bicker and insult each other. They fight. His groin throbs. His penis is pushing against his jeans and stuff, and so that's all that's going on. Sometimes she thinks about the fact that Misha isn't writing her anymore because he hasn't written her a letter since his sister died, but then she forgets about it, and then she's like, oh, I like Mason. Wait, no, I only like Misha. He has my heart. I love him. And then she's like, but I do want to fuck Mason. Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? He walks outside and sees that someone wrote the F slur on his car hood. And then he's like, he starts a fight with Trey, with the jock, and then the principal comes out, who is who's Trey's mom or stepmom, I don't know, whatever. And she's like, what happened? What did you do? And then Ryan's like, no, I wrote it. I wrote it on the hood. And I'm not sure why she's standing up for them. It's not explained further or explored further why she felt the need to stand up for a dude that keeps making advances on her. And she keeps thinking, I hate him, he's so disgusting, he keeps touching me, I don't want it. But she's too scared to lose her friend, so she doesn't say anything. But then she stands up for him for something like this, which is really, like, you wanna admit that you say the F slur? She is then forced to take the car with Misha to the, what's it called? To get it cleaned, right? And we're again in the man's perspective, so we can expect some tit talk. Grabbing so hard, her breasts shake just enough to send me reeling. Just because you're writing a man's perspective doesn't mean you need to write about sex and boobs and ass the whole time. You don't, actually. I'm sure that many men think about that every single day. But I don't want to read it. Imagine if I was writing a book like this and then I wrote the female love interest perspective and I was just writing about cocks the entire time. She's just thinking about cocks and like his bulge against the jeans. No, nobody wants that, and I'm not gonna do it. Do you want it? You're not gonna get it. What a double-edged sword. Am I angry she's a fake, weak-ass little liar? Yes. But am I happy she also has got the body of a porn star? Hell yes, she doesn't have to talk for me to look. And this is another factor where I'm like, okay, so she is really fucking hot. She's conventionally attractive. So what's making her stay with these bullies? Especially because it later turns out like she keeps talking about her asthma. I haven't talked about it yet. I'll do it later. I always say I'll do it later and I forget. But she thinks asthma is uncool and she hides having asthma from everybody. And I find it funny because I didn't update it like 50% and I was like, I genuinely don't understand this. I don't know if this is personal experience from Penelope Douglas that she was bullied because she had asthma and stuff and so she put it in her book, or that her daughter has asthma and she's like, no, it's okay to have asthma. I could not imagine bullying anyone for having fucking asthma. And I know bullies are horrible, right? But it's like, especially because it goes back to her in 4th grade, where she's like, oh, I always like thought having asthma is so uncool, bitch. In elementary school, I always wanted to have fucking asthma. I had a friend who had asthma. I thought that shit was sick. The fucking inhaler, I wanted that. It's the same as like you wanting to have a bandage even though you didn't have anything because you wanted the attention. I asked my boyfriend, he said, I can't relate. And I was like, okay, you didn't want attention. I wanted the attention. And I know a lot of other children, it's like normal for children. A lot of other children think like that. And so it's so weird to me where she's, because it comes up multiple times, she's like, I have an attack. Quick, where's my inhaler? Where's my inhaler? Is anybody here? And then she continues. And it's like, in the end, there's like an empowering scene at prom where she's like, I can't breathe. And then she just takes out her inhaler on the dance floor and just inhales. Woo! Bitch, I'm not bullying someone for not being able to breathe. What the fuck? And I'm sure that wouldn't have been something that they picked on her. Well, no, I'm not sure. They are really bad people. But the thing is, like, the story to me gets a little bit more unrealistic because, again, she is conventionally attractive. And so it doesn't make sense to me that she feels the need to do this because I'm sure she could have other friends. Like, I'm sure there's also normal people. The only 2 groups of people we see are the evil bullies and one emo goth called Manny. Those are the only 2 people we see. We don't see any other people that are, like, ordinary. And it's like, okay, then she could have very easily just been part of that. Like, there's nothing weird about her. She's like, oh my god, I like art. I can't let anyone know I like art class. I'll get bullied. Ugh, high school is terrible. I think they make out in the car and she's straddling him. But then someone comes to the car wash and is like, where's Ryan? And then he's like, she went home. She ditched me. Haha. Whatever. The next night, he goes to school to take a shower because he doesn't go home because he has beef with his dad since his sister died. And he lives in the abandoned carnival. And so he breaks into school to shower and he encounters Punk. 30% in, as I said. And it's Ryan. Ryan is Punk. She wants to put out her words because Misha isn't texting her, writing her anymore. They get caught. They get caught by the security. They chase them. Oh, I'm so scared. They've been having security because this has been going on for 3 months, and so they try to catch Punk. They haven't been successful. Mason's also there. They encounter each other. They run away from the cops or the security and hide in a closet or somewhere. I'm not sure where they are. And they're really close. They're really close. You know what's gonna happen? He's gonna finger her. She keeps saying no. I don't know why no one's talking about this. She doesn't want this. And literally every single scene where they get really intimate, like not the making out, that she's fine with the making out, but really the intimate scenes, she always says no. And I don't know if maybe Penelope Douglas wasn't aware that they were doing this, that they were putting this in. But what are we doing? I don't know, it's like, it's so weird. And then putting Woody Allen in this is just really bad taste in my mouth. My arm around her waist tightens and I can't stop myself from moving my thumb over the skin of her jaw. I graze my lips across her cheek, her neck arching up and more until her lips are millimeters away from mine. I can taste her fucking breath. Pull up your shirt. She opens her eyes and shakes her head, looking scared. I lean in, whispering against her mouth, come on, I think you like danger. My finger is sitting over the pulse in her neck and I can feel it speed up as I grab her bottom lip between my teeth and drag it out gently. Also, he has a lip ring, by the way, which was also cool in 2016. Because Luke Hemmings had one and then I also wanted one. No, girl. I'm glad I don't have one. I don't think it would suit me. Her ass slowly grinds into me, and I keep my moan silent as I see the flashlights retreat and finally leave the library. I slide my hand down the front of her shorts and cover her mouth with mine, letting out the groan I'd been holding back. Her pussy is soft and smooth, and I shudder at the heat as I dip my fingers inside of her. His dirty ass fucking fingers. Feeling how tight she is. Oh my god, she whimpers. Mason, no. Mason, no! And then he should go... Why not? You think your friends will hate you when they find out you're a slut who loves getting finger fucked on the floor? He says things like, your secret's safe with me. I tell her I've waited too long for this. And she goes, huh? We've known each other for like 3 days. And then this isn't explored on further. He says sometimes, lets it slip, like certain things that they've been writing about for 7 years. And then she's like, what did you just say? And he's like, nothing. And she does not think about it further. No. Never once is she like, in her perspective after chapters like this, she's like, why did he say that? Or, oh, this is so weird, like this is something I did with Misha. Because, you know, that would be too convenient. Pull up your shirt, I demand again, but she shakes her head. She eventually does it, of course, because he's pressuring her into it. And then he goes, her breasts rise well off her chest, the curves of her smooth olive skin looking like hills. In front of me, and her nipples poke through the fabric. Finally, he can see the nipples. Lucky that my breasts are small and humble, so you don't confuse them with mountains. La 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 la, la la la. Can't relate. I have huge tits. Anyway, they do it. They just do the, no, you know, no. Then the next scene, I think they are in the truck because they went to like an open air cinema, and she ends up in the back of his truck. She didn't even go there with him. She went there with her ass friends, and she's like, I'm not sure about this, like we can make out, but you know. And then again, we get the Mason no, Mason no, Mason no, but he comes in kissing me, and I grabs my ass, pressing me to him. I can't stop. Ugh. Guys, is this cute? Is this cute? Ist übergriffig sein? Übergriffig sein? Ist es süß? Leute? Just had to make sure you get it in both languages. People will see, no one sees you, baby. He has tinted windows. Mason, I say nervously, trying to bring up my arms again. He peers them off of her. Take me somewhere and I'll let you kiss me anywhere you want. Sounds exciting, enticing, he says, maybe next time. Mason, I gasp. Again, she's saying that like as a way of like, no, again, oh my god, we can't. We're going to get caught. I don't know what his fucking issue is. The slickness between my legs gets wetter. Okay. She's now naked in the back of his truck. He goes, do you keep it bare like that all the time? Okay. At one point, there's also really random anal talk where he again breaks into her house, into her room, and she's like laying on the bed, and he's like, did he break into her room? Anyway, they're in her room, and he goes, have you ever done anal? And she's like, no. And he's like, me neither. And that's it. They don't do it then. They never do it in this book. It's like, and why was this included? What, like, why am I fantasizing about 17 years old people having anal? I actually feel kind of weird. The truck will rock, I say, worried. We have to stop. But he just groans, fucking me harder. I love a man that listens. He's in love. I love a man that listens. And she goes in her own POV, right? My breasts bounce back and forth. What is this focus on jiggly tits? So slow, I bleed the I plead the truck. He does not give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck. There's this really weird drama about prom because Trey has asked her, but she doesn't want to go with Trey, but she's waiting for Mason, as a Misha, sorry, the German, to ask her, and he's not asking her, and so this is really infuriating to her because she's like, why isn't he asking me? Like, why isn't he asking me to go to prom with him? Maybe because he doesn't want to. They go together. They don't worry about it. But it's like, girl, stand up for yourself. You know? She can't. Why is this so long again? What the fuck? After this incident, what was the last incident? They fucked in the car? Okay. After them doing it in the truck, the next day, actually, is when there's like a girly pop at school that starts saying things like, I fucked Mason yesterday. He is like an animal. He's so feral. He was like, I don't know what he did. She's like, you fucked whoever the fuck this girl is. And he goes, are you jealous? Are you jealous? And he says, she says, no, I'm not jealous. And then he goes, a pussy is a pussy. Okay. You're a prick. Just stay away from me. I didn't sleep with her. I freeze, turning my head just an inch. What? I lied, he tells me. I asked her out for food yesterday to make you jealous, and today, when she insinuated shit that didn't happen, I let her, but I didn't touch her. You're not boring, he says softly. You're not average, and you're not stuck up. You piss me off, but you excite me. After this, they're now like boyfriend-girlfriend basically. In one class, he walks past her and gives her a piece of paper into her hand, and on it says, "Can't wait to kiss you." Okay. Same. The principal shows up. She wants to talk to Mason / Misha, I think, or no, she wants to talk to Ryan, and she's sitting. My God, Ryan is sitting on his lap when the principal comes. And is like, I want to talk to you for whatever reason, and then Mason is like, she gets off my dick when I tell her to get off. To the principal. Okay. Again, with really descriptive, random-ass writing. Squeezing out the packet into the cup, I replace the plastic lid and shake the salad inside. The Caesar dressing mixes and coats the contents, and I grab a plastic fork and a bottle of water, moving down the cafeteria line to the cashier. Okay. Sure. Also, this dude always has condoms in his pockets at all times. He's always ready to fuck. It's kind of weird. I really tried to get this over with. I've been sitting here for a while. And I don't want to do it anymore. He shows up at her house while she's doing it to herself. And he's like, I'm gonna watch. And then he describes it as the sexy little white t-shirt that ends halfway down her back, her perfect ass, her sexy tanned legs, and when the bosom begins. And then he's like, what do you think about you, blah, blah, blah. Reaching into my pocket, I pull out a condom. Again, he's ready. And unfasten my jeans. He broke into the room, by the way, in the morning. Like, she didn't know he was coming over. Her family is still asleep. That's how early he is. I pull out a condom and unfasten my jeans, pulling out my C word and sheathing it. Is she on the pill? God, what I wouldn't give to feel her bare right now. A lady wrote this. Okay. I have acceptance letters to NYU, Cornell, and Dartmouth. Okay. She never does any schoolwork. So, isn't it also kind of like embarrassing to be a nerd? I would bully you for being a nerd. I think he gets, arrested for starting a fight with Trey because Trey took his watch, or he has his heirloom watch, because turns out the principal is actually Misha's mom for realsies. Like, she abandoned him and his sister, and that's like the big reveal at the end. So then he gets arrested, and I think at one point it's like he goes to this party not because he wants to watch. Ooh. I'm just keeping it in so you guys know what I'm dealing with. Send me money. Kidding. He goes there because he sees someone's post, presumably on Facebook, because that's all they use, where she's like getting down and dirty. Ryan is getting down and dirty, and he's like, I'm gonna go there and like teach her a lesson. And then he accidentally starts a fight and gets arrested, but he gets bailed out because he's the grandson of the mayor or something, whatever, nobody cares. And when he pulls up, one of his friends is like, if that was my girl, her ass would be red for a week. And then Mason goes, or Misha goes, yeah, I don't physically threaten my girl, okay? You literally have assaulted her multiple times and threatened her. Anyway. And then, this is also just the inconsistency, and I know that she had an editor at this time, because again, I read an interview where they were like, yeah, I love my editor, you have to listen to your editor. In the beginning of the book, did I mark it? No, I think I didn't, actually. It's explained, like, 15% in, that the truck that he drives is actually his friend's or cousin's truck, but he left to go somewhere, to a different state or to university, and left the truck behind, and it was like kind of, he borrowed it to Misha, but when he came back, he didn't ask for it back, so now it's just kind of like this unspoken thing where it's like, is it my truck or whatever? This is explained 15% in. 73% in, he goes, I had it the whole time he was on the inside, but since he's been out, he hasn't come looking for it, so I hoped he'd forgotten about it. Girl, we know. Because you explained it to us in the beginning of the book, so why are you acting like I'm a fucking dummy? Do you think I can't retain information? Or can you? Now she comes clean about the bullying that she faced, which was not bullying. I got tired of not hanging out with the popular kids, I admit. I'd seen them hanging on each other, laughing and surrounded by everyone, and I felt envious. This was when she was in 4th grade. Left out for something better. I felt like I was being laughed at. I licked my dry lips, still avoiding his eyes. Like I could feel their eyes crawling over my skin. Were they disgusted by me? Why didn't they like me? I shouldn't have cared. I shouldn't have thought that kids who shunned me would be worth it, but I did. She is saying that she wasn't even fucking bullied as a child. So she is literally just a fucking bitch. She was not bullied. She was like, are they making fun of me or are they not? Nobody gave a fuck about her. That was her issue. Nobody gave a fuck. She wasn't bullied. And then she decided, I'm gonna start bullying people. You are just a bully. You know, you are just a bully. If this is what your high school was like, I'm so sorry, but like, did you just start bullying people? What the fuck are we doing? She never even says that anybody made a fucking comment about her asthma. Never. This is just something that she also came up in her mind, where she was like, no, if people knew I had asthma, they would bully me. That's just, she made that up. So then after this, she like is now she confesses that she is now with Misha / Mason. I don't even know if at this point he's revealed that he is Misha. Probably. Oh yeah, it happened. It was very much like I can't believe you did this. Why didn't you tell me? He was like, I was going to. My sister died, and she's like, oh, I feel bad. Okay, like, I forgive you. Then they make up. It's not that deep. Like, you would think this betrayal would go deeper, but, you know, the dick is too good. But now she, like, confesses, or not confesses, but she just is like, yes, I'm with Misha / Mason. I'm unapologetic, and I don't actually fuck with you meanies anymore. And then she engages with the dude that she bullied. Again, I told you there were 2 groups of people. The mean people and the emo goth that was getting bullied called Manny. He was the only victim of bullying, like explicit bullying in the book, because he was emo and goth should be bullied, obviously. They meet in the toilet after he was like beat up by Trey or something, I'm not sure, and he goes, one of you assholes pushes me my tray into my clothes and dumps food all over me, and the first thing everyone does is take out their phones. And then I have to relive it through pictures on my newsfeed every hour, even days and weeks later, over and over again. I can't get away from it anymore, not even when I leave school, because he's making a point of like, now, he was bullied when he was younger, but it was fine because he could just ignore it and go home. But now that there is social media, people are posting on social media and also cyberbullying him. She's making a statement on cyberbullying. She goes, I never thought about it like that. Because you were never bullied, so I'm not really sure what people are saying, like with she was bullied and so she became a bully because she wanted to be cool and I don't get it. Who's the bully? Where's the bullies? When we were younger, the dynamics of friendships and fitting in were only difficult at school. When we went home, we were free, and most of us hopefully felt safe there. Now the only thing we leave at school is school. The pressure, the gossiping, the bad feelings, it follows us home online. There's no break from it. Okay. Explaining it to me like I'm fucking 5 years old after you write diabolical sex scenes about anals and shaved pussies is really insane. And then the dude goes, that's why I get high. And I was like, okay, so he smokes a little weed? Like, that's like, high school, whatever. And then, no, he doesn't smoke weed. He inhales the puffs of like a spray paint. Manny. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. What can I say? She hugs him. She's like, it's okay. Now they're best friends. After she bullied him relentlessly throughout all of high school, making fun of him, even in this book, making fun of this kid. He's like, okay, I trust you now. Like, we're best friends. She's also friends with one of the bullies that's now no longer a bully. This trajectory was never explained because at some point that dude just starts hanging out with Mason and becoming friends with Mason. Again, never explained why he turned from that group to this group now all of a sudden. The gay dude is also part of their friend group. So amazing, you always need a gay on your side. And on her way to prom, Misha doesn't go with her. Like, they are each other's prom date, but he says he's gonna come after her. And it's like, okay, can't wait to see you. And she accidentally calls him Misha. Because they're in a limo, because that's what you do when you go to prom. She accidentally calls him Misha when they're leaving. And then the guys are like, who the fuck is Misha? That's Mason. Instead of just saying, oh, that's his nickname that I gave him, she goes, I came clean to the guys in the car. Figuring there was no harm anymore in telling them Mason's real name. Misha said he wasn't coming back to school. And I have real friends again. I feel awkward about lying. The fact that they are now real friends after yesterday. these people who have been bullies alongside with you, and you just trust them. You're like, yeah, fine, they're fine. And can just tell them, like, his secrets. I don't get it. Like, there's no... This could be further explored. It's not. I want to get it over with. I glance back at them, seeing Manny look around nervously like the other shoe is about to drop, but then Ten reaches over and grabs him by the tie, pulling him in closer so he can straighten it. I almost laugh. Manny looks taken aback, but a look passes between them, and I'm kind of curious. Nah, Ten would never date a goth. Okay. I reach into my wrist purse and pull out my inhaler. I look around, hesitant. I usually go in the bathroom. Screw it. Taking a puff, I see JD do a double take, but he only looks surprised as I take another one and try to inhale. Finally, she's free to inhale. Finally. We get the reveal that the principal is Misha's mom and Annie's mom, his sister that died. But she left them when Annie was still a baby and remarried and had Trey and whatever, or maybe, I don't know if she's his mom or his stepmom. I think his stepmom, actually. And she never cared for her other two biological children that she had. And his sister was always trying to reach out to her, sending her letters and photos. But the mom never responded. And so he like confronts her about this. At one point in the book, he broke into her office to steal the folder with the letters and photos on it. Which I'm like, how did he know it was in the office? And how did he know she kept it? But okay, like, I'm just gonna go with it. Mom is a bitch. She's like, I just don't care about you guys. Not sure why. Again, it's not further explored. She doesn't explain, like, your dad was a bitch to me, or... There's no reason given why the mom just abandoned her children. I don't know! You had two! Like, you had time to think about it. And, Mason pulls up at prom and, like, plays the guitar, and everybody knows who he is now. And the epilogue that we get, and they live happily ever after, because the epilogue that we get is her pregnant, of course, like, you could have guessed that, and him and his band being mega extra super duper famous in a rock band, and that's it. And they live happily ever after. I don't know what to say, guys. This book was plotless. She was trying to do like some social commentary, I'm sure, but it just doesn't work when your main characters are both actually terrible people and have no redeeming qualities. Why the fuck would I be rooting for them if they only bully each other and other people, and then you're like, oh, but bullying is bad and she only does it as self-defense? Nobody bullies as self-defense. It's only like if you have a weak self-esteem, and some people are also just mean. I'm glad it's over because I didn't like it. And as I said, I'm going to give it 1 star. And it's truly so disappointing that books like this go viral on TikTok, where it's like, I'm sure that similar stories exist, but with a lot more depth, and also a lot more depth, and also a lot more. What else is in there? What else am I trying to say? I hope you know that if you have asthma, you don't have to be embarrassed, because I always wanted asthma when I was young. Not anymore. I'm gonna be honest, I don't want it anymore, but like, you know, no one's gonna bully you because you can't breathe. And also, bullying is so lame, you know. I know it's really, really terrible, but it's really, really terrible, and I hope that you guys didn't have to go through experience like this where you got food thrown at you and shit like that. Like the Manny kid that then is just chill with everybody. But I think at this point, like, the goths have an alliance, and the emos and the weirdos, you know, have an alliance, and they don't let themselves be bullied anymore. But maybe if you're in, like, the deep Midwest, like her, Iowa-ass, that's different, and high school is still a different experience. So, I don't know, because I am in Germany. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, thank you so much to my members for supporting me and for making me read this book. I can't wait to see what you pick next. Hope everybody's enjoying spooky season. I mean, it's almost over, so I had to dress accordingly, at least for one video. Maybe even the next podcast, we'll see. If you want, you can follow me on Goodreads at HonestlySophie, and my Instagram is at HonestlySophieYT. Again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I love you. I hope you stay happy, you stay healthy. Peace and love, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.